Arjun, thanks very much for joining us. I wanted to ask you first, you did a Fulbright scholarship, and retrospectively, I guess little could you have known how important and topical your research would prove to be. Tell me about that.
That's right. So I studied the impact of technology on foreign policy at the Harvard Kennedy School, and I was particularly focused on disinformation and elections. But as I researched that, the broader topic of misinformation and disinformation came up, including in the areas of health and medical misinformation. I learned that there are always groups and people who are trying to exploit any crisis or any opportunity to try and push their agenda, including by propagating questionable information. And the current pandemic is no different. In fact, the stakes are much higher because it could actually result in the loss of life and create even more disunity within our societies, especially when people are fearful and angry.
So given your expertise, in particular when it comes to tech, what are some things that you would like to see tech companies doing to winnow out the misinformation and disinformation and make sure that what people are seeing is accurate?
Yeah, so a few of the things I researched at the Kennedy School were how disinformation spreads. There are a couple of key traits. They often spread in closed environments, such as messaging platforms, where you're only getting information from close, trusted friends and family, but also in things called data voids. And an example of a data void is essentially when there isn't any authoritative information in this particular narrative. So for example, if I was to search for, does broccoli cause coronavirus? You'll only get really low quality information spreading that conspiracy because no authoritative or credible sites have commented on this point. So tech companies have become much better at navigating these, first identifying where there are data voids and trying to help users navigate those data voids, whether it's by providing more context around those data voids. For example, working with fact checkers or trying to provide context about who the publisher is or recommending potentially other more credible sites. And also trying to help users get more direct access to credible information, such as working with the WHO or CDC, or even doctors on the front lines treating COVID patients. So it's almost a twofold effort of like trying to navigate those areas where it's the highest risk of misinformation, and also trying to direct or help users to better access more credible information.
And yet some of those sources that you're talking about are some of the very sources the World Health Organization comes to mind, where people are being extremely mistrustful of really a world organization that is at the forefront of making sure people have the right information about this global pandemic. What would you say to individuals out there about how all of us can make sure that we're getting good information and getting the right stuff?
Yeah, it's a really challenging endeavor, especially as the facts on the ground change and the state of medical consensus continues to evolve as we learn more about the disease. It really gets back to good information consumption habits, which includes being conscious of our own vulnerabilities so that we're not easily misled. Misinformation really thrives on our biases. So whatever our biases might be, whether it's mistrusting a particular ethnic group or authority or a race, like misinformation really targets those divisions to try and to stoke our emotions and divide us. And in that environment, we need to be very conscious of our own vulnerabilities, work really hard to triangulate information where we can, and make sure we are reading from a diverse range of sources, not just blindly trusting any particular source. And it's really hard in this environment where the facts are constantly changing.
And should I mean, I would ask, if somebody is sending you something either on a message or by email or just through your social media platforms, should you cross-check that? I mean, as a journalist, I always do with reputable news organizations. Is that something that you recommend in this situation?
That's definitely what I personally do all the time. I have become a fact checker in chief of my own family groups, and regularly find that all it takes is a simple search to find that there's either been a fact check or many experts have already disputed it. Some of the things I've seen trend attribute things to experts, and if you actually search for it, the expert has already disavowed that claim and said, I never said it. So these are very common and easy to do tactics to make sure we're accessing the right information.
Well, we're thinking about you. We're thinking about everyone as we battle this together. And I think very much your point about being your own fact finder in chief and working together globally to solve this. Those are really important points. Thank you so much, Arjun.
Thank you.